It's been almost 20 years since we first found ourselves in Kamurocho, the place we meet the person we'd come to know as Kiryu Kazuma, somebody who we'd get to grow with and watch his greatest victories, as well as his worst losses. People see him as a living legend, a bastion of strength that inspires others to never settle and take destiny into their own hands. But at the same time, he's the perfect reminder that no matter how strong you are, you're still only human. I doubt I really have to say this, but Kiryu is one of my favorite characters of all time. Over the years, I've invested hundreds of hours into his stories, and with that investment, I found myself growing more and more fond of this person. Whether it be throwing himself headfirst into the den of wolves that is the Yakuza, or engaging in a male model photo shoot with a living chode, I could always depend on Kiryu to give me a story that, more often than not, left me lying on my floor recovering for the next hour. Seriously, I think the mainline games are batting 100 and making me cry like a little baby bitch. Although, have you played The Man Who Erased His Name? Because if that did not bring you to tears, I'm convinced you do not have a soul. But now I'm just getting ahead of myself. I bring this all up to say that I think that Yakuza Like a Dragon was a big worry for us all. When Yakuza 6 was made, it was designed to be Kiryu's swan song, the final chapter of an amazing 11-year story. With a baby! And because of that, there were a lot of changes coming. We were getting an entirely new main character. The insanely fun brawling gameplay would be replaced with new RPG mechanics. Then, most devastating of all, this adventure we'd been on for the last 15 years was coming to a close. And it hurt because, to many of us, playing through these games wasn't as simple as just picking up the controller. No, it was more like an experience. Kind of like you were living a parallel life through somebody else's eyes, going through every single feeling, every single emotion alongside him. You felt the elation of every victory, the bond of every friendship, the pain of every loss. And now, we were being asked to start over. But you know what? I really love Yakuza 7. I know the game has its detractors, but I think it really shined in being something new. Something exciting that kept that Yakuza spirit alive. And that's all thanks to Ichiban. To my surprise, Ichiban has quickly become one of my favorite characters too. He's a very different person than Kiryu, but it's clear that they have the same burning passion. They're both uncompromising spirits who fight for those they love and go up against any and all odds. No matter how much danger they're in, they always put themselves second. And the hardships they face? They don't deserve it, but burden themselves with it anyway. All for the sake of others. What separates Ichiban though is just how much of a lovable goof he is. He has this unique ability to pull people in like nobody else can. And it's all because of his kind-hearted personality. He knows the person he is, but also the person he was. He's somebody who lives his life in gratitude of those who helped him along the way. Because had those people not been around, Ichiban would never be the person who got to experience the life he's grateful for. And so he sees everybody in the same light. To him, anybody can have a second chance, no matter how much darkness they've surrounded themselves in. It's more complex than playing the hero or being a savior. You can feel a real want, a firm resolve to pull the best out of everybody. A genuine desire to help people get the second chance they didn't know they had. And all because he had others who helped him when he was lost too. So he wants to be that beacon of light for others and guide them towards a better tomorrow. It's astonishing how RGG gave so much dimension to a character with only one title to his name. Its success gave me hope that the franchise's future was bright. So imagine my shock when the next two games were unveiled and Kiryu was in the limelight again. One by himself and the other one with Ichiban. So, I'm not gonna lie, right? I was really worried about this decision. After doing such a great job with the last game, I was worried that RGG was slipping back into their comfort zone, that they dropped this new direction in favor of what they knew already worked. And as much as I love Kiryu, it just didn't feel like it was the right way to go. So I only saw one solution to make all this effort worth it. And as much as it hurt, I felt this series was only ever going to evolve if Kiryu was gone for good. Enter infinite wealth. Actually, Fib, before I talk about this game, I need to say that if you have not played it, please stop this video and do so. Even if my watch time retention will suffer, this video is not for you. Yet. This video is made for the people that have gone through the whole Like a Dragon journey and experienced their storylines. And to have you continue here and have me rob you of that experience, it just wouldn't sit well with me. And besides, if I can be the push to make you try these games, that make it worth it for me. But to you, the viewer that has already played through all of these games and just finished Infinite Wealth, let's talk for a bit. I'm sure you're just as devastated as I am and could use the company. Because you're here and have played this game, it's also very likely that you have played Like a Dragon Gaiden. Mini review available for patrons and channel members, by the way, check it out. This means you got to see what I think is the most emotionally devastating scene in any of these games, Kiryu's reward. I don't know where to begin with this scene because it's a special kind of hurt, man. The legendary Dragon of Dojima, a man feared in the Yakuza world and respected as the pillar of strength many people lean on for support, just breaks. The weight of the world just crashes down on him. He's lost so many people that he loved. The life he lives now is all to protect the loved ones he has left. And even still, he has to keep his distance. It's like the world is denying him the ability to love or even feel loved. Like he has to suffer through it alone. At this moment, he's not this unstoppable force or immovable object. He's not the Dragon of Dojima. He's just Kiryu Kazuma, simply a man watching the kids he helped raise from the shadows. But they get to tell him how much they've grown and appreciate everything he did for them. He was the inspiration that they needed when they didn't know where to go. When they had nobody, he gave them a place they could call home and a loving family with it. And I don't know, something about seeing Kiryu break down like that here, it's devastating. You can feel how, more than anything, he just wants to be with them again. He wants to tell them how proud he is of them, how much he loves them, but for their sakes, he can't. I think what made me hurt even more was this lingering feeling in the back of my mind. This was the missing piece to the story of Kiryu Kazuma that we needed before we were ready to say goodbye to him. Now let's talk about Infinite Wealth.
Officer, help! I'm beloved! Yeah, arrest that scumbag. I'm pissing myself over here.
If I'm being honest, finding a place to start with this game is pretty hard. But if I had to choose a spot, I think it's with Ichiban and Psycho. You know, it was so heartwarming to see everybody thriving at the beginning of this game. They were all chasing their passions while helping others. It felt like they found their place in the world and took it on with everything they had. And because it was all going so well, Ichiban decided to push his luck a little bit. If there was one thing missing from his life, it was companionship. So now felt like as good of a time as any to see if Psycho maybe possibly wanted to go on a date with him. And man, when she hits him back with a yes, I remember being so giddy with excitement. It felt great to see him get this win. But then he fumbles it. He pushes her a little too hard and loses her. And this little introduction to the game is so thoughtful because it serves as a perfect prototype for what follows. A story where our characters take on their failures, but also learn the importance of letting go. Since we're on him already, let's dive into Ichiban's part in this story. Hello everybody, it's me in a not great shirt. I am here because I decided this game is very sad and I figured it'd be fun to break it up with something a little different. So, you know, what we're doing here is we're gonna be trying some various Yakuza themed drinks, some various Like a Dragon themed drinks, and seeing how they are. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not, we'll find out. First one here is actually based off of a Sega recipe itself by the name of the Kaito's Sunrise from Judgment series. I think it might be good, but at the same time, I think the ounce proportions and everything are lost on me. I drink like once a year, so these 3 drinks I'm gonna be drinking throughout this video are probably gonna leave me drunk as hell. Nonetheless, I have it here. I think it's orange juice, plum wine, some whiskey, mint. It looks interesting, is the best I can say about it. Let's give it a shot, why don't we? I mean, it kind of just tastes like orange juice. I mean, it's not bad. I don't really taste any of the mint. The plum is coming through. The plum is very nice. I'll say that much. I don't think I've ever had plum wine before, but it's a pleasant flavor, I guess. I don't know what to say about this. I was kind of expecting it to be awful. It isn't. It's also not very good. It's kind of just orange juice. It kind of just feels like alcoholic orange juice. Yeah, thumbs up. Kaido getting on is what I give this drink. I also don't have any fancy glasses, so. Cool. I love Ichiban as much as the next guy, but the poor boy ain't got no wrinkles in his brain if you catch my drift. Honestly though, that's part of what makes him so lovable. He knows this about himself but doesn't consider it a weakness. Instead, he looks at it as one of his biggest strengths. He's always been the kind of person to listen to his heart, and that quality of his really shines in this game. I mean, seriously. The guy who held him at gunpoint and the girl who left him out with his dragon out became two of his best friends later on. And that's actually an essential theme to this game here. Everything here has a duality to it, both finding light in the darkness but also seeing past the shadows that surround that light. Take for example, the setting. It goes without saying, but Hawaii is such a fantastic area for this story to take place in. Because when you think of Hawaii, everybody's vision of it is this beautiful paradise, a perfect escape from reality. But when Ichiban gets there, he finds pain and suffering like anywhere else. This place has taken away so much from so many people. It's a place riddled with crime, poverty, and collusion. Still, Ichiban does what he does best and carries their burdens with them, giving people like Tomizawa and Chitose a fresh start. He pushed them to stop running away from the world. He inspired them to tackle it head on no matter what the outcome might be. Yet, it seems like the hardest one confronting these things actually turns out to be Ichiban himself. Throughout this story, he fears what comes next and how things will go. I mean, he's already fumbled things once. What if he keeps messing up? What if he ends up hurting the people he cares about most? He already feels responsible for Adachi and Namba losing everything they had worked for. He feels responsible for Psycho falling out of the loop with the rest of them. He feels responsible for carrying out Masumi Arakawa's dream to give all those former Yakuza the better lives they deserve. He puts everything on his shoulders while still giving people a shoulder to lean on when they need it. Ichiban is strong, no doubt about it, but it's a very different kind of strength than the brute force of the Dragon of Dojima. We established his strength in Yakuza 7, but this game feels more like Ichiban finding his courage, finding that ability to take that leap of faith, letting things go and letting them play out. And because he's able to do this, he's able to forgive himself for what happened with Adachi and Namba. He could share Arakawa's dream instead of taking it all on himself. And he was even able to set things right with Psycho, not asking her to be his in a proposal that left her with nothing to strive for anymore, but by simply uttering 3 words that spoke more than any proposal ever could.
Daisuki.
But then Ichiban pulls out a shirt with the words "I love Psycho" plastered on it, and no. Ichiban, what are you doing? You were so close! You were right fucking— But there's also one more part to his story that I really want to talk about here because I feel like it's the bow that wraps this whole arc together. Eiji is a total prick, man. To use Ichiban's past and manipulate him with the memory of one of the people he cherished most is downright sickening. He flat out plays with Ichiban's emotions every chance he gets, even when all Ichiban wants is to be his friend. If I'm being frank, Bryce Fairchild does not feel like the final boss of Ichiban's storyline. To me, narratively, it's his antithesis, Eiji. But despite everything Eiji has done to him, Ichiban still forgives. Even though he may have been manipulated, he didn't care. Their friendship might have been fake, but the warmth and the happiness, that was genuine. He saw a good person behind that veil and, just like everybody else, took it upon himself to give Eiji a second chance, even throwing himself into the fire to help Eiji when he had no reason to other than because he wanted to. So when Ichiban tells Eiji he'll be waiting for him when he gets out of jail, you know he means it. And Eiji's face looks like it's beaming at just the thought. His quest for vengeance had consumed him. So much so that he hurt people the same way he got hurt in the first place. But it turned out that what he sought wasn't the revenge he thought he needed. Maybe all he really needed was somebody who believed in him. Somebody that taught him that he didn't really need to be anything more than what he already was. Because, just like Ichiban had to learn, he was good enough simply being himself. The saga between these two really cemented the kind of person Ichiban is and sold me on him even more. If there's anybody that's going to replace one of my favorite characters of all time, I'm happy it's this big, lovable oaf. I was worried about the future of the Like a Dragon series before, but now I can't wait to see where this story goes next and how Ichiban rises to the occasion.
I absolve you of your sins. You have been forgiven.
Oh, why, hello again. It's me, once more with a new drink. This one, I think, is just called the Ichiban Kazuga. I'm pretty sure it's just an Ichiban lager with pomegranate juice and lime. Here's a fun fact about Justin. I am not a fan of the taste of beer, pretty much any of them, so this is gonna be quite unpleasant, I'm sure. If I were to guess based off of the smell, this is probably inspired by the sweat of Ichiban's taint. Wow. It's actually pretty bad. No, it's actually not bad. This kind of tastes like a beer with pomegranate in it. Not the worst. Honestly, I could deal with that, but it's a flavor, I guess. Yeah, that's enough of that. I'm done with that. Thank you. Something else that Infinite Wealth plays with is the theme of obsession. And if we're talking obsession, there's no better character to talk about than Yamai. I don't know about you all, but when I first saw Yamai, I did not think I would come to like him as much as I do. For looking like the living embodiment of crack cocaine, the man's got a lot of different layers to him. To me, his complex character stands out as one of the game's greatest highlights. Honestly, at first, I thought he was just gonna be this game's Kuze. You know, that one boss that you kept on taking down over and over again before you got to the next checkpoint in the story. But every time you saw him, you chipped away at that cold exterior and found something within. An obsession. His crime was falling for a woman who was already taken, chasing her for the possibility that they could be together, only for her to use him in a scheme and take everything away from him. And from that point on, his world became so much more cold. From the look in his eyes to the way he talks to others, there's no passion there. This single person who's haunted his existence for decades has taken over his life, with no real way to take it back. That is, until he meets Ichiban. Yamai uses Ichiban as an opportunity to right this wrong. Because she took everything from him, it was his turn to repay the favor. But of course, that's not how things would go. When he finally comes face to face with her, she's not even the same person anymore. The venomous matriarch that ruined his life all those years ago was now nothing more than a vulnerable old lady slowly withering away in a hospital bed. And at the sight of her, he just couldn't do it. He carried this obsession with him all this time, and now it just didn't feel right. The revenge he wanted, he would never have. But then again, maybe he didn't need it. So he decides to just let it all go. And as if this game couldn't pull on my heartstrings even more, when she asks him to turn the heat up, he gives her his coat, the same one that had helped him when he first started getting those shivers, literally taking the burden off of his shoulders and turning it into a gift. She looks at him and offers a sincere thank you, and Yamai's somber response hits with more impact than a million other words ever could.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no ultimate sacrifice moment or moment of redemption for him like so many other stories would have given him. He just walks off to turn himself in and atone for his sins. Yamai is by no means a good guy in the story, but he is a tool it uses to show what happens when obsession goes too far and we refuse to let go of it. But he's also a reminder that it's never too late to let go and change the person you are. And ultimately, he comes out the better man for it. When he finally starts to let go and become more vulnerable, it's like his life finally starts opening up again. And the final test is the woman who took it all away from him in the first place. And in that moment, he does the most powerful thing he could have done and chooses to forgive. Honestly, I've grown very fond of Yamai's character because his arc is not only beautiful, but just the kind of arc I feel like I needed for myself. Because I think a lot of us know just how hard it can be to drop the pain that marks our hearts. It can feel like this thing that consumes us, our thoughts, our actions, everything becomes a part of that pain. It becomes our scapegoat, our excuse for everything we do. And before we know it, we start dropping that same pain onto others. But then you find those who want to carry that weight with you. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel as heavy anymore. You can finally breathe again. You're finally free. And the feeling that comes with that, it's the warmth you've longed for. A warmth that you can then give to others to help make them whole again, too. Alright, before we get to the final part of this video, let's talk about the game itself.
This man was enjoying a cracker outdoors when a
Unless your name is Yakuza Dead Souls, this series does not miss, man. I'm so happy that RGG tackled some elements outside their comfort zone while keeping the essence of the Like a Dragon series alive. RGG is well known for building playable areas that feel more full and alive than most other games could ever dream of achieving. And this is no different with Hawaii. And not only does it feel very vast and diverse with areas that all feel different from each other, but even things like enemy diversity feel more expanded. It especially feels interesting when you first come around the Barracuda because of the way they're introduced. Bro, that shit's nuts. It gave you the same feeling of intimidation you got from the Yakuza all that time ago in Zero. Then they've also got the religious zealot faction in Palacena. And I've got to say, the hardcore Munancho rabbit hole went much deeper than I expected. I appreciate how they managed to achieve the feeling of never being safe around them. You're always one wrong step away from being beaten in the Shore Pipi by Danny Trejo, and that just helps add to the already great tension here. Plus, the Barracuda has that banger-ass theme that made me try to time my attacks with a drop in the song. And don't you lie, I know you tried too. Speaking of attacks, I want you all to know that there's been a script for a Like a Dragon series retrospective that's been collecting dust for years, and literally the only thing written in there is a joke about how I want Kiryu to unlock an ability called Essence of 12 Gauge Shotgun. But then they gave Kiryu an actual move called Essence of Gun. I've also got to say, I love when these games go all Essence of Formaldehyde on me and just drop these fat loaves of fun on my lap for me to enjoy. Like, I love the tiger fight in Yakuza 2. But RGG really turned the crackhead energy up for this game and said, here's Shark, here Kraken, have fun. I think you know you've done something right when somebody who feels like they've seen it all is left violently pogging throughout the story. Also, can we talk about Dondoko Island for a minute? At first, I thought it was gonna be just kind of meh. It seemed a little overly complicated for me to want to try and dig my teeth into like I did many other side activities in the other games. But then I decided to try it out and make money for items I wanted in the main storyline game, and I might have gotten hooked just a little bit. Honestly, the only reason I haven't put more time into it is because I'm working on this video, and also because Sega is mean and decided to release this game and Persona 3 Reload in about a week span. Oh, also Sujimon? What the fuck? Hello again. Before we get to this really upsetting part in the video, I figured we'd do this one last time based off of a character that we all know and love very much. It's Shimano. It's definitely Shimano. We all love Shimano. We're all Shimano freaks over here. But no, actually, this one is one based off of our good old pal Kiryu, who I have been stalling for because I don't know if you can see this on camera, but this is like 80% fizz. It's kind of obscene. But this is also the one I've been looking forward to the most because it is, let me see if I can recall the ingredients correctly. We got gin in here. We got half a dragon fruit. Oh, by the way, it's called the passion. No, not the Passion of Christ. It's called the dragon fruit of Dojima is what it's called. That's what it is. Gin, dragon fruit, lime juice, lemon juice, cranberry juice, which I had to substitute for cranberry grape juice because I didn't have just cranberry juice. I think that's it. Oh, and some ice. Bottoms up, I guess. Hold on, that's good. Hold up, I forgot to mention, this is a Redditor's recipe. I'll leave his name on screen here somewhere because I don't recall it off the top of my head. But I was really worried that Reddit was gonna let me down. You, man who made this drink, good job, actually. This is quite good. This is quite refreshing. It has like a solid like playfulness to it. It's like, yeah, I like that. All right, let's get to the depressing stuff now. Alright, here's the part I honestly didn't want to get to, and if I'm being upfront, there's no chance in hell that I make it through this without getting emotional, but I'm gonna give it a try. The end of Chapter 3 in Infinite Wealth is the moment that changed this game for me. The moment when Kiryu tells his friends that he has cancer and only has 6 months left to live. I didn't really know how to cope with that. And the story that followed only hurt my heart even more because this wasn't the same Kiryu anymore. He's not the pinnacle of power he used to be. He's breaking down more and more with each fight. The weight of the world that he carried on his back was something that he couldn't manage anymore. But this is when something really beautiful happens with his character. If there's a common theme with all of these characters, it's that of letting go. And it was finally time that Kiryu did too. One thing about Kiryu that we've always seen is how he takes responsibility for everything. He repeatedly fights for everybody, putting their hopes and dreams before him every single time. He's the kind of person who feels at fault for his failures and their consequences. As his story went on, we saw many of his deepest regrets. Things that he wishes he could have done differently because that way, maybe the world couldn't make somebody like Masataka Ebina. Maybe if he had taken even more responsibility and taken on even more weight, there wouldn't be so many people hurting right now. It's like he wants to take other people's pain even after everything he's been through. And that's heartbreaking. It all goes back to that idea of obsession. But Kiryu's is a much different kind. The kind that's left him on death's door countless times and made him sacrifice everything he ever had. But now, we've reached the point where he can't do that anymore. He can't continue being the lone wolf he thinks the world needs him to be. So he finally starts to let go of that burden and rely on others, entrusting the world he wants to see to those that have helped him along the way. And I think it's because he finally saw somebody with that same burning passion for others as he did. Maybe the world didn't need Kiryu anymore. Maybe what the world needs now more than ever is Ichiban. After all this time, Kiryu could finally pass the torch and know that the world is in good hands. But before his story can end, he still has one last sin to correct. Ebina is the ultimate culmination of the sins of the past, the result of all the wrongdoings that took away so much from so many different people. It led the way for somebody who wanted to take it all back from the people who stole it from him, the Yakuza. Hell, even his boss fight theme is called the End of Denial, both to say that he would no longer be discarded, and for the world to stop denying its mistakes. So even though he might be Ichiban's brother, it's not his fight to have, because what he's after is the Yakuza itself. And what is Kiryu if not the Yakuza's living, breathing heart and soul? In some way, it was destiny, even if it maybe wasn't Kiryu's sin to bear. But of course, he doesn't see it that way. Maybe if he had been the Tojo's chairman and led the Yakuza his way, Ebina could have been a normal person. Maybe he could have stopped a whole generation of suffering for people who did nothing to deserve it. Where many other stories would have their main character's last stand show off the best of themselves and push their strength beyond their boundaries, Infinite Wealth plays it very differently. Kiryu doesn't stand tall and preach down to the man before him. He gets on his level and begs for forgiveness, breaking down and asking him to forgive the Yakuza, to let go of the hatred he's carried for decades. It all feels so personal, and I think that's because when Kiryu is talking about the Yakuza, it's ultimately him he's talking about. Asking that somebody forgive him because he doesn't have it in him to forgive himself. Ah shit, that last sentence hurt a lot. And I think with that moment, we all knew what came next. In the beginning portion of this video, I talked about how I thought it was Kiryu's time to go. The only thing is that I didn't realize how hard it would actually be when we started to lose him. Sure, he might not be truly gone just yet, but it's clear that that fire has burnt out. And the very last shot in this game, it broke me. Kiryu has been somebody I've watched grow and evolve throughout the years. Somebody who has been a constant source of laughter and love, but also of sadness and heartbreak. I think you know you've grown attached to a character when their emotions become yours too. And that's exactly how I felt with Kiryu. And to have that start to go away, I don't think I really could have ever prepared myself for that. But as sad as it may be, this ending to Kiryu's story is the most poetic way it could have gone. Before, I called him the heart and soul of the Yakuza, so it makes sense that when they started to fade away, he would too. If there's one thing that the Like a Dragon series has shown me time and time again, it's just how hard it is to lose things before their time. Even in Kiryu's life, he's lost countless different loved ones. He's lost the man he loved as a father, his sworn brother, and the only woman he's ever loved. And he feels responsible for everything. So he dedicates his life to living in a way that would make them all proud, to show them that their sacrifices weren't in vain and create the future they dreamed of. But just like them, he becomes a cruel reminder that nothing lasts forever. That no matter how much you might love something, it will always have its time to go. Letting go can be the hardest thing that any of us does, but even though it might be difficult, letting go can be the strongest thing we can ever do. I don't know what comes next, and if I'm being honest, I'm worried. I don't know what becomes of this person I've grown so attached to over the years, but I do know that it's never as simple as passing on, because even if he's gone, his memory isn't. One of the beautiful things that Infinite Wealth does is show the legacy Kiryu's left behind and the lives he's changed with it. Going through these little interactions that show people talking about how they're inspired by him and got opportunities to live lives that they could have never had without him. They say you die twice, one when you physically die and another when somebody says your name for the last time. And if that's the case, Kiryu will never really be gone. His example has given people hope that goes well beyond the boundaries of the games he's in. And out of respect for that, I think it's finally time that we let go too. That we finally let Kiryu take that burden off his shoulders. Finally allow him a chance to reclaim his name and rest.